I wanted to do a really long road to glory. Our goal was to play a season in the top division, which Notts County haven't managed since 1991, but we also have two other twists. We started in the National League thanks to the EEP mod, and we can still only sign players from other East Midlands sides. We've now had two very successful seasons with Notts County. In Season 1 we became champions of the National League, and in Season 2 we just about scraped League 2's third place finish on the last day, meaning we're now only 2 promotions away from that Premier League spot. Once again though, Wrexham have matched our promotion and are also a League 1 side. For the first time though, Luke Williams has some tough choices to make with the squad. We've got a small number of fairly old players, so a partial rebuild is probably going to be needed. We'll also most likely need to sell before we can buy anyone too. Our good performances though have made some of our players feel like they can still contribute, so we'll need to make sure they can during pre-season. While we definitely aren't the best team in this league, we do have the players to finish in a decent position. Macaulay Langstaff has stayed with us and he's extended his contract. David McGoldrick's delayed his retirement for another year, and we've already agreed to sign Ben Nelson on a permanent deal from Leicester, but Lewis Brunt will be returning to the Foxes. The signings aren't over for us yet though. We still have fullbacks which belong in Division 5, and we've got no wingers in the squad at all. We also still only have 19 players in our entire squad. This did cause issues last season where we had to play with gaps in the substitute bench for a second season in a row, and we're now at the level where we can actually sign some seriously good players. We spent time analysing the potential additions. We needed to make sure they'd be composed, aggressive and physical, or they probably won't suit this team at this level. Reagan Poole fit this template perfectly. Riley Harbottle is a risk, having never played a senior game in League 1, but he joins as well. Mendes Lang is definitely the experienced option. A super cheap player thanks to his age, hopefully he can contribute just like McGoldrick did in League 2. Finally, Tyrese Forner will probably replace Bostock in our starting 11 on loan, and Cafu will head across the river from Nottingham Forest on a free transfer. For us, this is a massive rebuild. Just look at the difference that these 6 players will make to our squad. Our winger weakness is now probably one of our strengths. The change in formation means that our fullbacks aren't really a problem anymore, and the style of play will suit this set of tall, aggressive players down to the ground. As always, Williams and County both want to start the season strongly. You can see the massive upgrade in opponent quality with our opening games going from Tranmere and Wimbledon last season to Derby at home and Ipswich away this year. Our first game went well, managing our first League 1 point since 2013. The second game went less well, resulting in our first loss of the season already. The formation change has shown that we can probably progress and adapt to a more demanding set of matches, but there's still definitely work to be done on the training pitch. We were definitely firmly in mid-table in 14th place after just 10 games, so we decided to switch up some of our goals for this season. We now wanted to be the highest finishing East Midlands team in the league, with Derby and Lincoln both being in a similar place to us in the table. As always seems to happen, we got a big batch of injuries in December. Again, we had another 5 key players injured, and again this was during a really important spell of games. But we knew how to deal with this now, and thanks to our squad planning, we had at least 2 good players in each position. So despite yet another injury crisis, there was a real growing chemistry and understanding among these players, which was actually contributing to some really good performances on the field. We finished December all the way up in 9th place, and the transfer window gave us the chance to add some more players to the squad immediately. Of course, the performances off the pitch were just as important as those ones on the pitch. For the first time, we had some budget saved for the January transfer window. We needed a bit more depth, but we weren't going to turn down signing a first choice player if we could find one really cheap. We did, however, get the news that we've been fearing for a few years now. Championship clubs were after Macaulay Langstaff. We'd grown him from being a National League player into potentially a Premier League one, but with an offer of £4.2 million from Stoke City, that was enough money to complete our rebuild and go for a playoff push this season. As Langstaff departed for Stoke, we picked up 2 younger players, one from Leicester and one from Forest, which would boost our team's overall depth. While Will Swan hasn't really become the player we thought he could be when we signed him back in Season 1, there is now some room for him to become the team's senior striker. We spent the next 4 months in a decent amount of form. From the 15 games between Langstaff departing and the end of the season, we won 7, we drew 5, and we only lost 3, and this would put us firmly in 5th place in League 1. With the playoffs confirmed, we decided we needed to rest our players for the last 2 games of the season. This would mean we had a fully fit team for the first leg of the playoffs away at Blackpool. This was a really fierce game with both sides having a ton of chances, but the 0-0 draw would set things up nicely for a home tie at Meadow Lane. We had almost won the away match, so we knew we could do it in front of our own fans. And with 19,000 fans packing out the stadium, we fought for every ball. We knew which players we could trust and we knew who could handle the pressure. With 20 minutes to go, we decided to give David McGoldrick a rare run out. Now 37 years old, he wasn't really the player he used to be, but he's the exact player we needed in this game. His through ball found Parsons one-on-one and he couldn't miss this chance. We were ahead in the playoff semi-final. We defended for the rest of the game like our lives were depending on it, and all of a sudden Notts County were unexpectedly heading to Wembley. You might be wondering who we're going to be facing in the playoff final. Well, it just had to be them. We would be playing Wrexham in the final. We battled for the title in the National League, we battled for automatic promotion spot in League 2, and now we were trying to stop them from winning 3 consecutive playoff finals. Our scouts, as always, sent over their reports. We knew they'd changed a lot this season, so our old knowledge here didn't really apply. We swapped from our narrow 3-5-2 formation into a more defensive 5-3-2 formation, knowing that we'd be coming under pressure on the flanks. Unlike us and Langstaff though, they had managed to keep hold of Paul Mullin, but he wasn't even their main man anymore. All of a sudden, playoff final day was in front of us, and Wrexham would actually be starting with both Nieto and Mullin starting up front, a super dangerous strike force in this league. Of course, we had threats of our own, with Parsons and Swan starting up front for us, but we knew a lot of our threat would be coming from our midfield. Both Heath and Forner were going to be super important if we were going to have any chance of winning this game, and Heath actually provided the first chance for Will Swan there just before 10 minutes. Heath would again play the ball to Will Swan, and you could probably tell at this point, the first half an hour of this game was all Notts County. Another decent shot there from Will Swan, but it was caught well by Jennings. Swan would have yet another chance, wriggling his way into the box, and another great save there from Jennings, but it forced a corner. Heath would fire the ball in, and Parsons would also jump highest, and that would put Notts County 1-0 up. Our 2 January signings combining, our 2 youngest players, our 2 highest potential players, putting us ahead in the playoff final. Hopefully we can defend this lead and build from it and maybe get a second goal. Well, yeah, that didn't happen. Mullin would go straight down the other end and smash one straight past our goalkeeper, so it was 1-1 and an all-action playoff final. From the point of their goal until the end of the game, it was pretty much all Wrexham. Ford forced a great save there from Smith just before half-time. After half-time, Mullin chipped Smith, but also missed the goal just by a few centimetres. That was so close to going in. Forner and Cafu would link up there with Swan, and this time he'd be the provider for a Heath shot, but it was blocked well by a Wrexham defender. We might have conceded a goal and given away silly passes like that right there, but our defence was absolutely on fire. Cameron there, destroying Mullin and totally cancelling that chance. Armstrong would then go and hit the post after 80 minutes, and it looked like this one was going to go to extra time. We did have one last chance though in this half. Chickson would win the ball, pass it to Heath, and remember at the start of this episode where we said we tried to sign players based on their composure and aggression, we didn't really take that into account when we signed Heath, and you can see a couple of the different times in this game where he has really lacked a real amount of composure. To be honest, extra time, basically nothing happened. The game ended 1-1, and that meant only one thing. This game was going to go to penalties. We tried to put all of our good players as far down the order as possible. McGoldrick, Bostock, Mendes-Lang, Cafu, there's a lot of experience there, even with Matt Palmer. When we saved the 4th Wrexham penalty, there was only one man we wanted to step up. John Bostock walked up to the ball and smashed it in, and we had won the playoff final on penalties. We scored all 5 of ours, and Jordan Smith, he's the real hero in this. John Bostock, of course, for scoring it and probably one of his last games for Notts County, but Jordan Smith for saving that penalty has somehow earned us a totally out of the blue promotion. This meant Notts County were going to be playing in the same league as Nottingham Forest and Leicester City next season, as both have been relegated from the Premier League. Who knows, maybe we could even get promoted into the Premier League next season, but I seriously doubt it looking at our squad. As always, we'll be sending out our scouts to every club in the East Midlands. There is some good high quality free agents coming out next year, However, we're probably better than the majority of players in the East Midlands now. So once again, we've overcome an injury crisis. We've powered through the Langstaff departure. We've done so much now to confirm 3 promotions in a row. Yet again, an amazing season for Luke Williams and Notts County. So hopefully you'll be back to see how we do in the Championship. That episode coming out in a couple of days as always. But if you want to watch more of my career modes, then check the screen right now where there's a playlist for another series that I've made. Thank you for watching, thanks for your support, cheers and goodbye.